in this life, you need to be able to either educate yourself to the fullest, one, or you rather deal in something that you are a specialist in, because that will make you successful.
Today's guest is Fakhrie, team lead for self-service recruitment at Amazon South Africa.
Firstly, let me tell you, I was just hungry to start a business, number one.
He has played a pivotal role in bringing new sellers onto the Amazon South Africa store and was instrumental in launching Shop Mzansi, our proudly South African storefront celebrating local businesses.
They think differently, they have a different type of vision. It's not easy to have this vision because some people may mock you, some people may think you're crazy.
Fakhrie is a seasoned entrepreneur who understands what it means to build from scratch.
And I started at the Oriental Plaza. I think I learned a lot. The one valuable thing that came from the Plaza is because
Quite the out-the-box thinker. That lived experience deeply shapes how he supports and empowers small businesses today. What are some of the mistakes that sellers make?
sellers assume certain things. You know, sellers often ask me,
Welcome to Marketplace Makers, a podcast for South African entrepreneurs building resilient, scalable businesses in today's economy. I'm Nzima, Seller Engagement Manager at Amazon South Africa, where I focus on growth enablement, helping entrepreneurs understand the tools, strategies, and opportunities they need to build and scale successfully. Let's get into it. Fakhrie, welcome.
thank you.
I'm really excited to have you here. I think you're going to be the unexpected wildcard in our series, and for the best way possible.
Yes.
I think you have quite an exciting background, and I think all our listeners will be keen to learn more about your story. So to start us off, I'm going to ask you a bit of a wildcard question just to
Right.
get us going. If you could design the perfect 24 hours anywhere in the world, no budget, no rules, but you could only take one person, what does that day look like?
That's an interesting question because you want to think about having a blast in 24 hours with no budget. And then you also want to learn from somebody like a visionary. So not because I'm Amazonian, but somebody most probably like Jeff Bezos or perhaps Tim Cook from Apple. I just find what they do is absolutely amazing. And, you know, I'd like to pick this person's brain and say, how did you know what to do like 20 years ago?
Yeah.
It's so amazing, and not do it in a formal setting. Just actually go out, enjoy, travel the world, be on a private jet, flying
you're going
there. Yeah, definitely. And then have these discussions while we are on a yacht or a jet somewhere. Yeah, and I'll probably do that. Something like that.
I like that you took the no budget to the extreme.
Yes,
You're
of
on
course.
yachts and jets. Okay, Fakhrie.
Absolutely. I'm not. When you say no budget, that's the first thing I already thought of.
Okay, now tell me, from this perfect day, what's the one thing about it that you would bring into your actual life?
I think it's the learnings. For me, it's so important. I mean, and I'm not saying this just because of for whatever reason, but I often watch these documentaries. I watch things about Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, or Jeff, and you know, and Elon Musk, and all these people that are on the Forbes lists and all these things. And you realize, you know, there's something that they did differently. There's something that they think differently. They have a different type of vision. It's not easy to have this vision because some people may mock you. Some people may think you're crazy. I watched something the other day with Jay Leno where he interviewed Jeff, and he said, so you're running at a loss for the last 5 years, and Jeff laughed it off and said, yes, because we are reinvesting in the business. And this is not ordinary type of thinking. And you know, just predicting or understanding the way that the world is evolving, it takes a different special kind of mind. And I want to have a different special kind of mind. So I need to know how these people think.
Yeah. I think you underestimate yourself.
Of course.
You are quite the out-the-box thinker. And from the way you describe the people you want to meet and the type of mindset you want to have, to me, it makes me see that you're a bit of a visionary and you're a big thinker. Tell me, where does that energetic, big thinking mindset come from? Like, who's Fakhrie? What makes you you? Where did you grow up?
Oh, so I grew up in Cape Town. I was here for about 17, 18 years of my life, schooled here in Cape Town. Then my dad got a transfer. We moved to Johannesburg. And then I think that was probably the best move for me. So I studied, I worked actually at the Oriental Plaza selling clothing. So, boy, this was the most amazing job I ever had in my life. I got to meet so many people because the plaza is actually an attraction in Johannesburg.
Yes.
So many foreigners, many people not living in Johannesburg, even
Yeah.
Cape Townians, they'll always seek and try and find the plaza. Just, either it's a bargain or just this word of mouth. And if there was any job that gave me so much joy and so much self-satisfaction, it was working in the Oriental Plaza, selling t-shirts, jeans, jackets, and just asking for, I'm looking for this, and what size or whatever the case. It was just like an amazing place to be. There was a certain special something. I'm not sure if it was because it's my first job, because I had that interaction with customers, but I just loved it. And from then, actually, I just developed that where I just wanted to continue with working with people.
Yeah.
And I became customer obsessed since then. So
that's where this customer passion comes from.
Yes.
Okay, so you found yourself at the Oriental Plaza. Tell me, how did you get to the Oriental Plaza as your first job? That's so, again, out the box for someone, like when you think about their career projection.
I used to enjoy sleeping late, going out with friends, waking up at 11, 12. And my mom said, no, we need to do something about this. And then she took me by the hand and she went to the Oriental Plaza and said, do you have a job for my son? And the guy said, yes. Yeah, no problem. And she said, okay, when can you start? The guy said, can you start now? And I was like, I think my eyes were so big, my heart was beating. She said, yeah, he's available, he'll start now. So, okay, I'll see you later, eh? And she left.
That's a good mother.
I was like this, standing there in shock.
Little birdie told me you ended up in entrepreneurship and starting your own business.
Yes.
What was that first business? What inspired it?
So the first business I did was an IT business. I actually joined, firstly, let me tell you, I was just hungry to start a business, number one. So I was looking for all avenues. I was looking up to people that actually are entrepreneurs. And they have this great lifestyle, they have the flexibility of time, they have loads of money. So I want to be like that. So I explored options, spoke to some friends, and then I met somebody and they said, you know what, they looking for somebody to help them in their business. And knowing me, I said, look, I'm not going to work for you, but can we negotiate like a like a deal on the business? So I'm not going to
salesman.
Yeah. So eventually we settled on a deal and we shared the business. And from there, the business went well. And then I started gaining in a lot of contracts and clothing contracts, some IT contracts. So because of my clothing experience, I actually branched the business into merchandise for promotional items.
Oh, wow.
So for branded items and embroidery and printing and things like that.
Jeez, you grew a big business.
Yes, so I grew a big business, landed some government tenders because I thought, okay, this is the opportunity. We have the facility, we can do it. And then I moved from there. And then the unfortunate thing is that because we were solely reliant and the capacity was for the tenders when they were of course expired and the tenders came to an end, there was very little other clients that to keep us afloat. I then stepped away from the business. We had the agreement and then I moved out and tried to start something new. And then I started something in perfumes first. This was a small hustle, in perfumes. So I did perfumes. And then after that, after perfumes, I actually did security garments. So I did white shirts and gray pants for security companies.
So what haven't you done? What haven't you done?
So
perfumes, we had textile, we had IT. What else?
And then afterwards, I did some cell phones as well. And one of my friends said, okay, they were working for a cell phone company. And they said, look, we're looking for some wholesalers to buy in. And I said, I didn't have some money at that time. And I said, okay, don't worry, I'll make a plan. And I spoke to somebody and got some money. And I said, okay, yeah, I'm good for it. And bought a few poles, moved that and started making money. But the point I'm trying to make is that I never, ever stopped at looking at various opportunities.
Yeah.
I just always found it so important to be able to have either passive income,
Yeah.
have a bit of a better lifestyle, grow yourself, these type of things. So I was always looking at opportunities.
So tell me, where does that come from? Is that from your mother? Because from what you described, she sounds like someone that is quite headstrong and like knows what she wants and will make sure she gets it no matter what. Do you think she inspired that ambition, that I'm going to go for what I want no matter what attitude that you've got?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That and poverty. I told myself, we were really battling as kids as I grew up.
Yeah.
And I told myself, I'd never want to be in this, and nor when I have a family or kids would I ever want to put them in a situation where we are really struggling to make ends meet. And it's amazing, like you say, we laugh about it now, but it's such a massive motivator. Because I'm thinking to myself, I really do not want to ever be in this position. And it just kept me so driven just to have alternatives, have passive income, do things on the side, just because, and like I said, if it's my mom was really one of the biggest drivers. And of course, the fact that I really come from a not so wealthy family, and that's why that was a really big drive. And I had to, majority of the things that I've earned or accomplished, I've done on my own strength. So, it's something I can kind of be proud of, that whatever business ventures, I know a lot of families, and nothing wrong with, inheriting a business that your dad or your grandfather built. Absolutely fine. I just didn't have that luxury.
Yeah.
So I had to start that from scratch on my own, and which makes it like 100 times harder.
It does, but you persevered, eh? I have to say, and it's quite impressive and it's not easy. I know the South African landscape can be a bit challenging for entrepreneurs, but somehow you managed to like persevere through these years. What was one of the biggest obstacles you faced in growing your businesses, your multiple businesses? Did you have any failures?
Absolutely. And I think for me was, a lot of the ideas came from people that were successful in the industry without understanding why they're successful in the industry. And that is super, super important. That is actually one of the most important things you can learn as you are trying to get involved in any industry. So if Bowie is involved in IT, it's a great field or a great industry, that doesn't mean automatically I will be successful. There are certain things that Bowie has that she can leverage from. Perhaps you have the right contacts, perhaps you have the, whatever, the contracts in place, perhaps you just have the negotiation skills. Doesn't mean that I will also possess all of those qualities or attributes and naturally be successful. And I actually didn't look, I later in life learned that, selling cars, because I tried to sell cars also for a while, because my cousin sold cars.
I'm on 5 now, Fakhrie.
You were successful, and I thought, okay, you know what? I can try this, find 1 or 2 good deals, and
But you just go to dealerships and buy cars and resell.
and I was like on back then we utilized the Gumtree and all the stuff, looking for a deal and trying to post it again. But as much as I know a lot about vehicles or cars, the thing is, it wasn't a game that I was exposed to. If anything went wrong, I wouldn't know how much that would cost or whatever. And I realized I could not buy a car, try and repair it or try and get it into a great shape and try and resell it, because I just didn't have that contacts. I just couldn't. And where somebody else, they would have that, which means it would be easier for them. So I realized, in this life, you need to be able to either educate yourself to the fullest, one, or you rather deal in something that you are a specialist in, because that will make you successful. You can answer all the questions. You can have contingency plans in place if things go wrong, because you can fall back on, whether it's a stock issue, whether you know what to do. You're not new to that. So that is a big lesson, because it ended up costing me a lot of money. And I was, when business were good, I was like a loose cannon, just trying to take amount of money. Yes, I'll buy into that. Oh, this guy had a car wash. Yeah, come, let's go. Hop.
You were a VC, okay?
So I was like crazy, but I was growing also in the time. And there's a lot of harsh lessons that I learned, lost a lot of money, gained a lot of money. And I think that's part of the journey that makes it so much exciting.
And you seem to have grown a lot from that. And I think a lot of those experiences and exposure, especially selling on Gumtree, kind of positioned you well to now be an Amazon account manager.
Absolutely.
Tell me something. So you were one of the first hires at Amazon South Africa. What was that like in the beginning? And how do you balance it all right now? Because I know that you're still running some of these businesses and you have a full-time job. Like, what's this journey been like getting to Amazon, and how do you keep yourself afloat in all this chaos?
I must tell you, firstly, I wanted to be in Cape Town because at the time, still I find Cape Town one of the best places in South Africa. So it was ideal for me to be in Cape Town. And, Amazon being Amazon, the brand, I thought, there couldn't be a perfect match, when I got the offer and I said, okay, I'm on board. Cape Town plus Amazon, this is a dream come true. And in any case, at the start, we were like a group of 5 or 6 people. I can't even recall, but that's it, including, of course, Zal. And it was like we were just finding our feet, understanding the market, doing a lot of research, understanding what the clients are, what's the South African landscape like, because that was more important before trying and, discussing or getting into negotiations with sellers or anything like that. So we just took some time. And then it started to ramp up. Then we needed to build programs, and then we needed to get, what's the direction we are taking for South Africa, especially from a authentically South African place. How are we looking at what's our vision going forward? And then it built, and I've not been at a business that it felt like at lightning speed. We were just flying. And that's one of the things, if you asked me earlier the question, why do you choose Jeff or Tim Cook? It's just because the speed they move at, or they move the businesses, it's like it's incredible. So 1 minute we're here, the next minute we've already accomplished X, Y, Z, and we're over there, and we're just going with the flow. This was amazing. So when we started, and we just absolutely ramped up. Next thing you know, we're launching Seller Central. Seller Central. Next thing you know, we're launching the store. And it's all just happening lightning fast.
Tell me. So I know you're saying it's happening lightning fast, but, for the rest of us who weren't there at the time, it kind of took us off guard. So I can imagine for some of the sellers that you met and that you were talking to at the time, it must have been a bit confusing, like Amazon South Africa. What was the first conversation you had with the seller on introducing them to this whole Amazon concept, Amazon South Africa? We're here, we want you to be our sellers. What was that like? What was the reception like? Were they excited? Were they skeptical? Did they think you're a scammer?
Mixed reviews. And that scammer, definitely they were, oh, this guy's up to something. So I had mixed reviews. Some of my sellers were like, okay, cool, we've been waiting for you guys to come to the country. Let's talk, let's start some business. Some people said, whoa, you have a South African accent. What are you doing? Do you have a number I can call you back? Like, they were really skeptical. And some of them, they were aware, or they thought it would eventually happen. However, they wanted a little bit more surety in our presence in this country. So they said, you know what? Establish your business, launch your product, then I'll be keen to jump on board. So there was various mixed reviews, and you had to handle everything like a case-by-case basis. So I had to deal with every single seller differently. There was no blanket approach that I could use, because the way they were receiving the information was, everyone was different. One important thing though, after we launched Seller Central, I launched the first ever 3P seller.
What?
Yes, I was. It was advertised for some time. I must actually investigate why they took it off, because that's like a milestone.
Okay, wait. First, describe to me, when you say you launched the first 3P seller, what does that mean?
So that means I've got the first 3P seller to have an active, viable ASIN available on Seller Central.
Talk me through viable ASIN for someone who's not used to this.
Okay, so a viable ASIN is an ASIN that the customer on the front end can buy. So when you're a seller, you upload a product,
Yes.
you need to be able to have a price there,
Yeah.
and you need all the information, of course, and you also need to let us know the quantity you have available
Okay.
for the customer that they can buy.
Okay.
So once you've met all the check boxes, the ASIN is now active, and it's now available on our Amazon.co.za store. They
Okay.
pull that product in. An ASIN is actually a SKU.
Okay.
Just our
Yes, that makes more
terminology.
sense. Yes. Yeah.
Amazon standard identification number. So we use that ASIN, and when it becomes active, it now becomes active to the customer,
So
and they
you
can
brought
purchase
the
that.
first
The
one.
very first seller to have the very first Bible ASIN on there.
How
So
did I feel? How was that journey? Like,
that,
walk me through it. Was it difficult? I mean, getting them through the process, because you were learning at the same time, by the way. Like, you were
absolutely.
still also learning the Amazon processes and the systems, doing new product. All of it was like quite new to you too. What was it like onboarding them, getting them through the system, learning the process? All of it. Talk me through it.
So firstly, I mean, you asked me, I was quite new. I was shocked myself because
Yeah.
I was working with, even in our group, we had 2 or 3 of my colleagues
Yeah.
that had quite a lot of e-commerce experience working on marketplaces, things like that. So they were extremely knowledgeable.
Yeah.
And I thought, probably not a chance. Number one, they off the bat, they'll know how to handle this. But I persevered, I called everyone. I tried to solve everything I had out of this to be able to get a seller on board. And when I confirmed the seller, I guided him through and I loaded the ASIN on. And somebody told me, that's the first Bible. And I was like shocked. I thought, wow,
Exciting.
this was absolutely amazing. But coming through the journey, if we start off, getting through to that point, building up the seller, understanding their requirements, getting the catalog together, explaining what Amazon is about, and I believe customer obsession has to come naturally. I always
comes naturally to
you cannot practice customer obsession. You either customer obsessed or you're not, and that's okay, because maybe you put in like a program product management type of role, but if you're customer obsessed, I think you should be at the forefront of where the customers are. You must understand, and you must have that engagement. So, going through this whole process, trying to get the customers on board, them having mixed reviews. Today a customer tells me, or a seller tells me, oh, Fakhrie, we're not interested in listing our products, whatever. Tomorrow they'll send me an email, okay, here's our products, And we wouldn't challenge that, because we're open to everything, and we can understand. Maybe they had to think about it. Maybe they looked at, wow, this is an additional sales channel. This can help us everywhere. And what I used to do a lot is, because I have entrepreneurial experience, it was easy for me to relate. I did not sell the product to the seller. I did not sell the product to the customer. I utilize my experience, my day-to-day experience, running a business, explaining to them how I navigate about things. And it was a real life examples that I could use to be able to get them to understand, okay, now this makes sense. And for them to now say, okay, we're interested in buying into the program.
That's interesting, actually. And from one entrepreneur to now working with our sellers, what do you think makes South African sellers unique? What was it about them at that time that you felt set them apart and made your experience working with them a bit exciting?
I'm first going to tell you, South African sellers are probably the most challenging to work with.
No.
Just because there is a lot. So sometimes we take it for granted from the educational piece, like, that we, and when I say challenging, I mean like we assume somebody knows X or somebody knows Y, when it's not always the case. And I think that also was a lesson, a self-lesson for me, in terms of, take a step back, first understand whether the seller understands this process or understands this bit of information before you make the assumption. And that's when you end up getting better or being able to do your job better. So I'm in South Africa. one thing about them, they skeptical about everything. They will challenge you on everything. And that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because they speak their mind.
And they hold you to a high standard. That's kind of how I want to look at it.
Yes. And they speak their mind and they will challenge you on simple things which you've not thought of. They'll challenge you, but why is it like this? But why should I do this? And always, but the whys, and you realize I actually didn't think about these things the way a consumer asked me or a seller asked me about that. And now you can actually go back and understand, you know what, that seller is why. And sometimes we don't have the answers, and I would go back to maybe to my manager and say, but why are we doing this? I actually agree with the seller. Why are we doing it? It makes no sense. So coming into the South African market, it was a market where the sellers would challenge you. It took a lot of convincing. Of course, there were sellers that were familiar with Amazon, that was ready to upload catalogs, that were ready to get on board. But there were also sellers, especially smaller businesses. Because smaller businesses, they need a more convincing speech. And they are probably happy at the current state with their online store, and that's working for them. So why do I need you? That is the question. And that, you know, when they ask me, why do I need you? You actually realize, and you have to ask yourself, why do they need us? Do you understand?
Why do they need us?
And I'll tell you later in why they need us. But you actually understand, and when you take that question and you break it down, you can actually get the full overview and understanding, and you actually make sense to you. And then once you've answered that, now you can say, now I know how to grow you, because you've answered that question.
Okay, it makes sense. Now, let me ask you this. Speaking of our small businesses, you were there during the launch of Shop Mzansi. I know we've spoken, generally speaking, with small businesses in South Africa, what it means for Amazon to be there. From your perspective at the time, what was the driving force behind the why? Why did we need Shop Mzansi? Like, what was it for you that you felt it was so important?
Well, look, having a store with a product that is exclusive to that particular country has been done by Amazon in a few other Amazon stores. You have brands of Belgium, you have Made in Italy. These are all exclusive stores that exist already before the birth of Shop Mzansi or even Amazon.co.za. However, we have a lot of history, and we don't want to go back into time, but there are certain things that, of course, change the future of our country. And we cannot rectify things, but what we can do is we can change what we are able to. We can provide what we can. And this was Shop Mzansi. Shop Mzansi was actually, it's a storefront that enables sellers to be able to showcase their local brand and their local product, no matter how small your business is, no matter how small your brand is, but to give you that same opportunity that versus a giant notable brand out there, to give you that same opportunity. So what makes Shop Mzansi different from Amazon.co.za? Well, Shop Mzansi is an exclusive store to showcase that. So we have no international brands overshadowing our local product. So you're a small seller, you have a brand, you probably have an online store, maybe you're in 1 or 2 boutiques. You need a little bit more exposure on your local brand. Shop Mzansi is the perfect place for you to be, because somebody shopping a local beauty cream, hand lotion, face wash, whatever, they can shop from Shop Mzansi and get a 100% local product. Furthermore, what does local product do? You know, it helps employment here, all these type of things. Our sellers source raw materials from here. So it's always continuous economic growth, even for our country as well. And that, even without telling our sellers, happens naturally.
It's true. And, you know, you're very passionate about seller success and seller growth.
Absolutely.
As my customer obsessed friend. Tell me, you're quite instrumental in driving our seller roadshows, which is basically the premise of meeting our sellers where they are. Why was it important for you to start this roadshows initiative, and what does it mean to you, and what does it look like in a typical day on a roadshow?
Just quickly to tell you how this whole thing started. I actually went one day to Johannesburg, and I decided, continuous calling and finding out sellers, getting them together. Is there a way I can just put everyone in a room and just give it my best shot?
Yeah.
And I love speaking, and I love being there on stage or whatever. I thought, how can I combine the two? And I said, a roadshow is the best possible way to do this. So in any case, we did the roadshow. So what we would do, get the sellers, whoever's involved, what's your way to be able to, what's the best? So number one, we find sellers that strategically want to grow.
Okay.
They need assistance to be able to get there. We want to scale, or we want them to scale with us. So we, of course, reach out to those sellers, and then we set up on the day of the roadshow.
Okay.
Now, on the day, we have like specialists. We have my colleagues involved in FBA, colleagues involved in listing, catalog, account management that covers all areas. And then we also have marketing where you have deals and sponsored ads. So we have this one opportunity for you as a seller to come to one space for maybe 2 or 3 hours and be able to actually learn about everything quickly. And if you're trying to do something on your computer in Seller Central, we are there. We have all the experts there. So we can help you. So I realized, after the first one, when I did the first one, there was a need. People were following up afterwards. Somebody actually said, I didn't get the chance to come. When's the next one? And I was about to answer, there's no next one. Then I realized, wait. Let's take a step back. Maybe there is a next one. And that's how it carried on. So I realized seller interaction and seller engagement, face-to-face. Yes, we all have the proper mechanisms. Like, our seller education, where we have webinars, where we have on our YouTube channel, our seller education South Africa YouTube channel. We have tons of videos that is so good and offer so much content. But not everyone can maybe grasp that in a video. So we try and accommodate everyone, and this is why the roadshow came into place. Just to have that interaction, scale you up, explain to you, and then run with you for a certain period of time until you say, okay, we were there and now we're here because of the roadshow.
You speak about the fact that we have these online resources, right? And now you think it's important to like go meet sellers there. What do you think sellers get from that in-person interaction that they can't get online? Like, is there something specific that you found that not just having the human-to-human interaction, but in terms of accelerating their growth? Like, what was it about these sessions that made it powerful and impactful?
Yeah, so one I understand when I was there at the roadshows is that sellers sometimes need guidance. So they can attempt something, but if it goes wrong, they are stuck. So sometimes they follow a webinar or they follow a video, whatever, and they may get 50-60% correct, and it goes a little bit haywire. With somebody right there by their side, they can guide them. And I've also learned that, it's amazing what a difference it makes when a person is doing that practical experience right in front of you. And that particular training, it's like it locks in their memory, and they just can't forget it. And I had somebody that told me they watched a video and they got it the first attempt, but they couldn't remember how. So, and then they watched another video and so forth. So, but when we did the training and I guided them, okay, now you click here. So I didn't do it for them. I showed them, and they were driving, clicking here, completing the listing. I explained step by step, okay, if you're going to do this, this is what will happen. If you're going to do that, that's what will happen. And what happened is they actually remembered it, and they completed like 150 listings on their own. Yeah.
That's not easy.
It's not easy, but it's amazing.
That's incredible. And tell me, from these roadshows, what about it has shaped the way that you interact with sellers day to day now going forward? Now, like, what lessons have you taken from this that you use now to inform the way that you guide and support sellers that maybe prior to the roadshows you weren't doing?
So I've realized that roadshows have educated me in one way, is that sellers assume certain things. And when you actually meet them and they have a discussion, you can actually unpack all the other things that are relevant. For example, sellers, they fear to load their entire catalog.
Yeah.
So they'll come to Amazon.co.za, they'll upload 10, 20 ASINs and think this is everything in the store, this is all that's required. And when you're in the roadshow, you realize that the seller actually has 2,000 ASINs or 5,000 ASINs, and he's sitting with a selection, but he didn't want to load it onto Amazon.
Yeah.
And then you understand this is sellers actually sitting there with really good catalogs, and we need to find a way to extract that. And the roadshow has been like such a fundamental step in being able to do that, because we would be able to help the sellers upload their product, get it out there, and actually explain to them why they need to load the full catalog. They need to have their full selection. And I was telling somebody the other day, just to touch on that, I mean, if you go to a store and the store has 20 t-shirts, all in white, just different sizes, would you buy? Probably not. But if you go into a store and they have 5,000 t-shirts, every color, every size, stripe, dots, whatever, you feel better. You're more encouraged. You want to buy. Because just the selection, you have selection. So, and that's the exact same how customers look at it. So if a seller loads all his selection, the customers are spoiled for choice. They stay longer. They want to purchase something because of that selection.
Tell me something. How much of like your background and your entrepreneurship feeds into how you interact with sellers? Do you think you're more patient, more understanding of their issues, their challenges because of what you've gone through as an entrepreneur?
By nature, I'm not actually a patient person. So I'm just going to get that out there. I'm not. I struggle to drive and people take long. But I have I think I have a better way of explaining and understanding. So sometimes it's not about the patience. Sometimes it's just navigating the seller in the right direction. So you can still get where you want to, probably in the same amount of time, but it's about navigation. It's about explaining it, because they want to do something which they think they are right, and you're trying to guide them. You need to find a happy medium. So when you find a happy medium, you get them to understand why you're executing this process, why they have to do it, and in that period of time. And then they actually follow your lead. And they will do things quickly once you explain to them or they understand the benefits.
So speaking of this following your lead and understanding the benefits, what's something a seller can do to equip themselves to selling on Amazon, like from what you've seen?
For me, the best possible thing that a seller can do for selling on Amazon is, number one, is education. It is absolutely like vital to educate yourself as a seller. The more you know, the higher your chances are of being successful. If you know less, you go in there cold, you go in there blinded, you make errors, and then what that does is that pushes you away, and you make an assumption and say, you know what, it's not working. It's not, you come with his own little assumptions or, reasons or excuses, whatever you want to call it, on why the store is not working or why your product's not working. So education is so, so important. I mean, we have such a full, massive library on education that Amazon, and I'm not talking about globally, I'm talking about in South Africa alone, that offers content on all our topics to educate you, from how to register an account on Amazon, how to start off, what do I do? I don't know where to start. There's a registration video. You can find out how to register. Then the next step, listing, FBA, logistics, whatever you want. But education is super important. And I think the more you educate yourself, the more you understand how your business will operate and how you can integrate it with using, Amazon.co.za. That is a super, super handy piece to it.
I hear you. Now I'm going to push back a bit and say, I'm a seller or an entrepreneur running a business. Let's say like it's similar to you. I have a full-time job. I'm running Amazon on the side. And then I'm saying to you, you're telling me, oh, educate yourself. And then I say, I don't have time. I have a busy day. I have family. I've got kids to look after. How do you respond to someone like that?
So I'm going to ask you, is your Amazon store a hobby? Because just to clarify, because you don't want to invest that, so is it a hobby? You're doing like on weekends or something? Look. The thing is, you can get by. Nobody is telling you that you cannot sell a product on Amazon without educating. However, We will have this conversation in 3 months' time, and you'll come to me and tell me, Fakhrie, my product's not moving, and you'll eventually come back for the education piece.
Yes, that's true.
And that is important. And
Yeah.
why not do it earlier, get it out of the way, understand, and you'll have a 3-month or 4-month advantage.
Yeah.
Well, now you go uneducated, list your products, doesn't work. You come back to me, my products are not working. I'm not making sales, whatever your reasons are, but you weren't educated. Now we're going back to try and educate you, give you better understanding, when you could have had that 4-month advantage and then make sales in that 4 months.
Yeah.
Do you see how it
I
is?
see it.
So you actually put yourself at a disadvantage for about 3 or 4 months in not being able to generate sales or whatever
Yes.
the case is, by just delaying it because you just refuse to educate yourself.
I mean,
So
that's fair.
unfortunately, there is no way around it. The education is going to make you successful. It will lead you to definitely to a higher success rate. You can, like I said, you can go about it without without going through all the material and whatever, but then that's the risk and you have to accept that. And you'll come see me eventually.
Well, on that front then, what are some of the mistakes that sellers make?
Well, I mentioned on a roadshow, typical thing, sellers not listing their entire catalog.
Yeah.
Super important, because they just think 10 products. Okay, this is something that, you know what, if you have on your online store 300 or 400 products, list the 400 products with us.
Why? What if I was saying that, no, I just want to see. I want to see if like 1 or 2 products sells on Amazon, then I'm going to list the rest of the products.
Okay, so listing the rest of the products is absolutely free. It makes no financial difference to you whether you list 2 or your 1,000 products. Number one. Number two, mathematically, if I tell you, choose between 2 cars, you may walk away with nothing because your choices are 2. I don't like either of them.
Yes.
But if I have 500 cars, there's a higher chance you're going to walk away with something. Mathematically, because it's a higher chance you'll find something you'll like.
Yeah. Same thing. Okay.
Same thing.
That's fair.
With a customer.
Yeah.
You have a selection of 2, they walk away, nothing they found. But now you have 400, whoa, something actually can fit into I was looking for a face wash or whatever it is. So it just on pure stats, pure math, you'll have a higher chance of selling a product when you list your entire catalog.
Okay. Something else along those mistakes?
You know, sellers often ask me, when are South African sellers going to move to the US? When are we they're super excited. And
that's great to know.
It's not a bad thing at all. Not a bad thing. But I often tell them that being in a different country can be a costly exercise, number one. And it can, and if you go there uneducated, it can be very expensive. So what do we do then? My advice or guidance when sellers come to this, I say, learn how to run your business in South Africa. It's the best place. You don't need any documentation. You're not doing anything cross-border. But you're not going cross-border. So you don't need import, export, licensing to be able. None of these things. It's so much simpler. So you're in your own playground where you can control. You know your market in South Africa better than anyone else. You are used to competing here because you probably had an online store for a while and you know what the clientele is like. It's so much easier. All we want you to do is understand and learn Amazon on the South African landscape. Now, once you do that, you understand how we operate a business strategically, or how you have to operate your business strategically. You then can say, okay, I know when I need to run marketing campaigns now. Now it makes sense. Okay, Easter is coming up, or Valentine's Day, or whatever. These are the high visibility events. I need to run this part of my selection on a deal. So sellers eventually become like that. Now, when you do that and you're going over, let's use United States as an example. Now you go in informed because you've been playing around in South Africa for quite some time. You understand the mechanisms we use in Amazon. And now you can at least, because there's much more sellers in America. So now you can compete with that big scale sellers and you can at least give it a proper shot.
This is exciting. You make me want to sell on Amazon myself.
We need to.
I feel inspired. So tell me, now we've spoken about education. Like, what are some of the misconceptions that sellers have about selling on Amazon or Amazon South Africa as a whole when you speak to them?
Number one is Amazon is too expensive.
What?
Absolutely. Without doing any deep dive or
Yeah.
any research on, is it really expensive?
Yeah.
You guys, your fees are too high. It's too expensive. I can't send stock to the warehouse or whatever.
Yeah.
It's always related to something. And you need to, so I'm working with a seller.
Yeah.
And, to challenge the seller directly, you may not get the desired result. Because at the end of the day, that seller doesn't want to hear that what they are saying is incorrect. So what you need to do is we have incentives across this.
That's true.
So I offer the seller proposal. I said, you know what? I understand what do you find
Yeah.
expensive and what do you and break it down, let them tell me, and we'll come out to maybe to FBA. And now we can talk a little about FBA, and when they look at it, they'll come to me, wow, Fakhrie, I actually saw it's fairly reasonable. Let me maybe move ahead. But definitely it's always related to fees or pricing or expensive. It's such a common thing. And it's our responsibility that's seller facing.
Yeah.
Important on how we tackle that piece.
Sure.
Super important, because if we don't tackle that piece carefully and we don't know what information to offer, that seller will go away with that notion for good. So it's for us to be able to educate them and help them, and to be able to say, look, let's break down what you're looking at, and then we can do one product and you can look at it. And if you still in agreement that the pricing, then of course there's not much further I can do.
Yeah.
But let's give it an attempt, and we can see what
like
it comes
that.
out to.
Customer obsessed as usual.
Absolutely.
Now tell me, in our customer obsessed journey, is there a story like through all the time that you've been on Amazon, beginning now, that has inspired you? Or
Many stories.
okay, give me one good one.
Many stories. I had a seller at the Roadshow. It was sometime, I think, last year, and this seller signed up for the Roadshow. He was coming to visit, and the seller had issues on every possible topic that you could think of.
No.
Like, we were not prepared for the seller. Like sometimes you couldn't imagine that you'd get a seller like this. So you
defeated you.
Yeah,
the salesman of note.
So you have to take a breath. So somebody was dealing with a seller, and they it's not that they don't want to help, but they just everyone's when they dip, and anyway, we like, okay, let's split the task. What does he have? And it's important that we now we gotta, it's like we're hustling at this Roadshow now. So now we say, right, okay, let's quickly, you take this task on the phone, whatever, help with this, let's help this. Okay, what's your, give us your catalog. We're speaking to the various departments, whatever. Eventually 1 query, 2 queries, 3 queries. Roadshow is done. We still have about maybe 50% of the things. I left the seller with my email address. The seller is keyboard warrior.
Yes.
From when we left the Roadshow,
my problems quick enough.
2 weeks later, whatever, and you know what? I'm trying to work quick ways and things to fix the seller. Nonetheless, eventually, I think it was after 3 weeks, 4 weeks elapsed.
Yeah.
But by bit, we got the seller resolved and everything.
Okay.
I then, because
4 weeks.
it took about 4
not
weeks.
That's long, eh?
That's long. It's a month after we seen the seller. So we had another Roadshow. I said, well, it's not, maybe not the best idea. I'm kidding.
No.
So after 4 weeks, I said, okay, we helped the seller. Everything is fine. Let's move on. Seller looks like he'll manage okay, whatever. Seller was disappointed with the amount of sales. But in a nutshell, just to tell you, the seller understood everything. They just didn't know how to utilize everything. Like, they understood what's FBA. They didn't know which products to put in. How can they leverage it to work best for their business? With their online store. They had really great brands also.
Yeah.
and they just needed that guidance. They needed help with every single thing to navigate around that. And Amazon's maybe slightly different from having your own online store.
Yes.
So we do things differently in terms of our brand protection policies and all that stuff. So we had to also navigate around this. Eventually, after a month, we got this right. So that story's passed. I think 4 or 5 months down the line, I'm in a team meeting and doing like some performance review, and the seller comes like in the top 5 of highest performing sellers. It is like amazing.
And you're like, that was me.
Yeah, we were far. We made that happen.
Launching sellers, top performing sellers.
Yeah.
Listen, you were on a roll, eh?
But it was so good to just think, this guy, I would have never, number one, expected that seller to be at the top.
Yes.
Number two, they came with so much like baggage, like queries, like things. But we had the vision to be able to get that out of the way and still help them grow and scale.
Yeah.
And it just shows you, and that seller, I was like totally shocked about, the seller's account was so good. Like we had our sales guys saying, "Oh, I'm happy to help this guy going forward now because it's
done the hard work."
because the account is looking good, very good brands and whatever." But it just shows and that's one of the benefits that I've realized of the roadshow.
Yeah.
I can question, would we have the same results if the seller didn't partake in the roadshow? I don't know, but definitely the roadshow played a huge role in that. And and that was one of the most successful stories I had with a seller, going from zero to hero in that amount of time.
Give yourself some credit, Fakhrie. You were persistent. I think that's also something not to be taken lightly, that to solve some of these problems and to deal with human beings in general, it doesn't really matter, be it a seller, customer, or otherwise.
Yeah.
And to troubleshoot and get them from zero to hero, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. And
I
also,
thank your mother.
and also when you take it from yourself, like
Yeah.
you always ask, somebody taught me a life lesson long ago in anything. If you want to offer anyone the best service, if you want to offer, be it in Amazon, be it in a relationship, being whatever, how would you want to either be treated as a customer, as a spouse, as whatever? And then you choose the way that you want to be treated and you offer that treatment.
Yeah.
And then you get the best results. And I always think, if I was a seller, how would I want to be treated as a seller? What would I want somebody to sit with me? How would I want to? And then I say, okay, that's how we're going to conduct this roadshow. That's how we're going to help you. Because I would want to be treated like that. I want somebody to, not just brush me off and, okay, you need to be out here in 10 minutes and things like that. And simple things like the Amazon Seller Success Center that I'm currently involved in. Things like that. We're there to grow and scale sellers as well. Yeah, so Amazon has built a Seller Success Center. Where it's a center that is utilized to help and grow sellers. We're there to scale. So you have a query, you want to grow your business, you want to just find out about Amazon. Maybe you're not even on Amazon. You can come and register there. You can list your products. We can get somebody to assist you. We have consultants on the premises there that would be able to guide you through various facets of your seller journey. So, and this is a separate building from our normal offices. Nice coffee, nice soft music, good couches.
If all else fails, you can be comfortable.
It's a really comfortable space. So it's a really comfortable space. We're there to make you feel at home. And then we're there to help you. And we're there with an objective. The same way when you enter that building, you come to us with an objective, with a goal. Our objective is for you to be able to reach that goal. And that's what we're doing, in our Success Center. So this is the same attitude as I explained with the roadshow. This is the same attitude we adopt when we utilize it in our Success Center, is to be able to just give you that nudge, help you to get to reach your goals and reach your growth potential.
You can really hear your passion for sellers, and it really excites me. Tell me, what's your hope for the future of South African entrepreneurs for the future? Like, what do you want to see in the future roadmap for them?
Honestly speaking, we have such, when I started this business, when I started at Amazon, and now I was getting on onboarding sellers for Shop Mzansi, getting them They were brands that I've never heard of
Yeah.
that was so good. Like all the beauty products I use currently myself.
Oh.
I don't buy it outside of like Shop Mzansi just because
Oh, your
we
beauty
have
products. I think this will start there.
the pure beauty products.
No. That sounds like a whole range here.
So I don't
Yeah.
I don't buy it or I don't acquire them outside of Shop Mzansi just because we have such a lot of good product
I like that.
on our store.
Yeah.
And I was amazed, does South Africa really produce these products? And my vision was that when I started this person, for example, one seller said, you know what, I just have an online store. Another seller said, I don't even have an online store. I'm selling to where people can put into their store and their boutiques and whatever. And I realized there's so much potential for these sellers. They have such fantastic brands. Their product is of the highest quality. And my dream of these sellers is if we eventually for them to be able to have that brand exposed on a global level, for that South African brand to be so recognized that people in Europe, people in America, people in Asia are aware of what South Africa can produce. You know, that is truly my goal because when we go overseas, I want to see if I'm in Thailand, there must be a South African product on that shelf and make me happy. That's exactly what, and that's our vision even for Shop Mzansi, is to be able to grow it to such an extent that the sellers explode and they actually go global and their brands are all surfaced in the rest of the countries and Amazon stores as well.
Okay, to close it off, let me ask you this. So I'm a young person watching today and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this sounds so exciting. Fakhrie has inspired me. I want to join Amazon. But the idea of it is a bit daunting and overwhelming. What would you say to someone like that to inspire them to join and start selling on Amazon?
Personally, if you're not going to act, nothing's going to happen for you going. First thing to do is take an action. So for a person like that, absolutely, I would advise, you know what, where you get started, go to our Sell page, register an account.
Yeah.
Get yourself an Amazon account. You don't even need to be able to sell a product as yet.
Yeah.
So maybe you busy with something, you get yourself an Amazon account. Now you can start to list your products when you have an account. But take the step. And it's always important for you to be able to educate you as you go along. So when they walk away from here and they've watched this and this can say, okay, what do I do next? Go and learn. Google, sell on Amazon South Africa. You come to our Sell page. We have loads of information, step-by-step guides, super simple. You can understand. We give you fees, breakdown, everything. And you can actually start the journey. But it's important thing is to start that journey.
And learn.
And learn. Learning is so important. Start that journey. And it's exciting. It's exciting. I think, you know, if you're going to sit back and will the product do well, you have to try. You have to take the first step. So take the first step. Sign. It's under 10 minutes, you can be registered. You know, with that. Quick and simple, quick and easy. Yeah, 10 minutes.
In and out.
You fill in, have your ID, all your documents ready. That's required. Done. You 24 hours later, you'll get the notification, or 48 hours later, you get the notification. Now you have a registered Amazon account. Now you can use our Seller Central to be able to now list products, learn a bit, understand, play around with it. This reporting once you're a seller. I mean, there's such amazing tools. So I'd encourage them to start there at least.
You've encouraged me, that's for sure. I think I might just go start my own.
If I see you again and you don't have a business, you're going to be in trouble.
Thank you so much, Fakhrie. Thank you for your time today. This was really, really inspiring, and I'm sure that I'm not the only one that feels that way. To see where you've come from, your drive for entrepreneurship, your drive to support sellers, all of it has been inspiring. And thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having me, Will.
Thank you. Great. Sure.